Welcome to video 3, and congratulations for making it this far. Now, if you haven't watched video 1 and video 2 yet, I recommend pausing this video, going back and watching those videos first, because we're building here on what we learned in the other videos. I don't want you to be lost here. You'll get much more out of this video if you watch the other 2 videos first, so please follow my recommendation and do that if you haven't watched them. Now, we're getting into an exciting topic here. When I survey the profession and I ask what's the most important need for your practice, or usually the way I ask it is, what is the #1 most important need for your practice right now, what do you think the answer is? Almost always, over 90% of the time, the answer is more new patients. That's what chiropractors want. That's what we're going to be talking about, and quite frankly, I think most chiropractors do need to increase the new patient volume in their practice. Now, I'm going to ask your permission to brag a little bit here, and I want to say this with all humility, but I want you to also have some context for my experience. Over the course of my career, the companies that I've helped start, promote, initiate, grow, and lead have added, we've done a calculation on this, it has added roughly $2 billion in additional revenue to chiropractic offices throughout the world. It's a big number. I've had a lot of years of a career, and I'm not sitting there saying, look how great I am, etc. I just want to set up something here that you understand. I have an expert opinion about this, and it comes from direct experience working with thousands of chiropractors throughout the world, and the results are in, and those results add up to about $2 billion. So it's significant. Now, I want to see that happen for you. I want to see you increase new patients, increase revenue in your practice, and I don't want to sit here and say, here's how you do it. Do this procedure, this procedure, this procedure. What is missing? The foundational philosophy. I want you, again, and I say this over and over again, I want you to harness the power of your beliefs so that you can explode with new patients in your practice. And it sounds like marketing, hypey type stuff, but I've seen it happen over and over and over again. It can and it will happen. We just have to apply the philosophy formula. We just have to ask the right questions. We have to get to the foundation of your beliefs. We have to remove contradictions, and then we have to reorganize them in a more empowering way that will lurch you forward into greater success in gaining new patients for your practice. Now let's talk about how to apply the philosophy formula so that you can map your philosophy relative to your orientation toward new patients. This is an exciting thing to do because, again, we're going to go from this thing called philosophy, which is at the foundation, and it's going to grow all the way into your practice in a way that's going to increase the volume and the size of your practice because of the new people you can attract by cleaning up this philosophy. I'm going to start with a story. When I was a young chiropractor, I was in a coaching group called Markson Management Services, and I love and admire Larry Markson. He's one of my great mentors to this very day. As a matter of fact, I hope he watches this video because he really did have a profound impact on my life. And I can remember in that practice that it was doing fairly well, but I always was feeling like I was hitting a ceiling when it came to new patients. And I was pushing for new patients, and I was looking for new procedures on how to get new patients. And I would learn some things and apply them, and I would see some incremental results when I did that. But I just felt like I wasn't getting there. I was underperforming in that particular realm. And it was a little bit frustrating for me, quite frankly, because I was a young chiropractor, full of piss and vinegar, ready to go out there and conquer the world. I wanted the world to know about chiropractic, yet I felt like I was hitting a ceiling when it came to new patients, and I really wanted to break through that. So Larry Markson is giving a lecture one day, and I'm just this one chiropractor in a group of many who's a young chiropractor who, I don't think Larry even knew my name at that point in time, but he said something that changed my life. It was a simple statement. He said this: new patients don't come to you, they come from you. Or let me flip it around the other way. New patients come from you, not to you. Now, why is that so profound? Because it changed my belief. What's the first process? What's the first branch of philosophy? What do I believe? I used to believe that new patients came to me. What do I have to do? Listen to the words you use because they express your philosophy. What do I have to do to get more new patients to come to me? Have you ever said that? Chiropractors say it to me all the time. Geez, what do I have to do to get more new patients to come to me? And that statement, that question, is expressing a belief, a metaphysical view, a view of reality, without them even knowing it. If you change the belief that new patients come from you, not to you, then everything else changes. So let's run it through the formula. What do I believe? I believe now that new patients come from me, not to me, but from me, from who I'm being, from my purpose, from my energy, from the frequency that I vibrate at. Why do I believe that? Because when I look at other successful chiropractors who are successful at getting lots of new patients, what do I know about them? It comes from who they're being. It's coming from their purpose. It's coming from their passion. It's coming from their philosophy. Why would I come to that conclusion? Why do I know that? Let's take a deeper dive. Because I can look at two chiropractors who are doing the same procedure. If you remember, we talked about this in video 1 when we look at the 5 P's to prosperity. Remember where procedures are and that their effect? Two chiropractors who are doing the same marketing procedure, the exact same way. But they get what? Different results. One chiropractor gets this amazing result with lots of new patients coming as a result of that procedure. The other one is getting modest results, maybe even disappointing results, doing the same procedure. It could be a lecture they're giving. It could be a screening. We could sit here and go through all the procedures in the world to get new patients. And there's a lot of great content out there, incidentally, to learn those procedures. And new innovative things happening all the time. I'm all for it. But if your philosophy is that new patients come to you, you're going to limit the results you're going to get. If you shift your belief system, your metaphysical view here, to new patients come from me, and how do I know that? Because I see two different people doing the same procedure. One gets better results. Why does the one get better results? It's because of their headspace. It's who they are. This is routine. Again, thousands and thousands of new patients into chiropractors' offices based on what my companies have done over the years. Screenings, lectures, everything, you name it, we've done it. $2 billion of revenue that we've added to chiropractors' offices. So I know what I'm talking about here. And I can tell you that I know instantly when I'm teaching a course on how to get new patients, I can tell you instantly who's going to get more than the others based on their philosophy and based on their view that new patients come from you, not to you, even though they all can do the procedure the same way. So I'm really driving this home. So why do I believe it? Because so many aspects of my experience and what I've witnessed and what I know and understand and the evidence in the world tell me that that's true. And that's why when I sat there and they said, new patients come from you, not to you, when Larry said that, it was like, I instantly knew that all of my experience corroborates that new belief. So now what do I do? Okay, look at the formula. What do I believe? Why do I believe it? Now, what do I do? Okay, well, I have this new belief, and I understand why I believe it. Now the next question is, what do I do with it? Well, in this case, what would you suggest? I want to give you a second. Just think about that. Okay, you're grooving with this. You got it. Okay, new patients come from me, not to me. So it's a matter of who I am that's going to determine how well these procedures are going to work out there in the world, which is going to attract new patients to me. And yeah, I've got this evidence. You're aligned now with the evidence that I just gave you as far as why I think it. Now, what would you do? Well, would you just go out and learn another new procedure? Or would you start to work on yourself? This was a pivotal moment for my life. What do I do now? Holy crap, what I have to do is I have to work on me so that my procedures work better. I have to work on me so that patients will come from me because of who I'm being, because of the vibration and the frequency of my consciousness. So it changed What I was after, I walked into a room, and what I was after was, geez, I'm a little frustrated with my outcomes on new patients. I want to grow that. I feel like I'm kind of stuck there. Can you please teach me a new procedure so that I can get further with that? I left the room saying to myself, I am going to now buy every book, tape, video I can to work on developing me, because I know that new patients come from me now, not to me. One little shift in my philosophical context, and the next thing you know, all my behaviors change, my actions change, and it was transformational for me. Let me share a more recent experience with you that can expand upon this a little bit more. Dr. Greg is a chiropractor I've known for a lot of years. He practices out in Illinois, and he got himself involved in a program with 7 other doctors who paid a lot of money, I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars, to get on a track to move their practices, to basically double their practices. And you'll probably be hearing more about this at some point in the profession. It's a pretty interesting program. But I was recruited into this program to help in this particular realm that you and I are talking about here. And when Dr. Craig came in, he was somebody that's been in practice for over a decade, had a decent practice, was making a living, but at the same time was starting to see things fade and shrink little by little. And he was starting to think about having to shrink his life because he felt that the marketplace was just kind of shrinking, and that was the destiny. Instead, he decided that he was going to commit into this particular program, and that he was going to really go for expanding the size of his practice and the revenue he can generate so he can provide for his family, not have to shrink their lifestyle and downsize, but actually maybe even expand it. And he felt that he was going to go for it, and I congratulate him for doing that, and I think every chiropractor should be thinking in those terms. Scarcity doesn't get you anywhere. Philosophy of scarcity is a bad philosophy, and that's something that, again, through the philosophy formula process, we'll get rid of. But ultimately, in Greg's case, this was interesting. I got to work through this process exactly how we're talking about it now, but in a deeper way where I can interact and work with this small group of doctors. And one of the things that we worked on was clarifying, what is the clear purpose of your practice? What is the clear goal for every person who comes into that practice? Those are extremely foundational and meaningful questions. But without a philosophy map, without having a philosophy formula, you really can't answer those questions in a meaningful way that will stick and drive and give you, again, harness that belief system and move it forward. It gets kind of scattered and frenetic, and it doesn't really work. So in working through this with Dr. Schulte, there's a point of the story that you'll see right now. We had our session. It was on a weekend, Saturday and a Sunday. Dr. Greg leaves that session. 1 week later, and I mean exactly 1 week later, I talked to him to find out how things are going. He has a waiting list of a week and a half of new patients. Now, mind you, he came into our original session saying one of his big challenges is that he doesn't have enough new patients. 1 week later, his waiting list grows to a week and a half for new patients. Now I ask him, did you change any procedures? No. Did you change any staff? No. Did you change anything? No. What happened? How suddenly in a week's time did a bunch of new patients show up? He got clear on his philosophy. He went through a process of clarifying different things, of mapping areas of his philosophy and applying it to his practice and showing up in that practice, and suddenly new patients came from him. There were no new procedures that generated all these new patients all of a sudden. This is the power of changing the roots. New patients are the fruit. Philosophy is the root. That's where we go. If you want better fruit, get to the roots. That's what we did here. So with Greg, getting clear in his philosophy, going through the philosophy formula, mapping it out, it changed within a week from having bunches of availability for new patients to now having a week and a half waiting list for new patients. Let me share with you now another view of reality, a metaphysical view, if you will, from that first branch of philosophy that I've shared with many chiropractors that has had a significant impact on their new patient experience. Here it is. You don't need new patients. New patients need you. Think about the shift that has as far as how you approach anything and everything. If you're walking into a lecture, if you're walking into a screening, if you're going in to ask for referrals, reactivations, if the context that you're coming to the situation with is, well, I'm doing this because I need new patients. What do you think that does energetically? Do you think that draws or that repels? When you show up based on your needs, people aren't going to show up back saying, okay, I'll come there to fill your need. People come to you because of what their needs are. If you understand chiropractic, if you've mapped your philosophy of chiropractic properly, if you've done the philosophy formula for your meta view of chiropractic, one conclusion you would draw pretty quickly is that your community is in desperate need of you. Think about it. War, terrorism, all the stuff going on in the world. Look, the economy's bad, people won't come. Yeah, do you think that stopped the pharmaceutical companies? You're seeing their numbers go up. Why? Because people are looking for solutions to the stress they experience. So if you have the philosophy map of your chiropractic orientation, it would have you understand that the need in your community right now is escalating, not declining, for what you do. And you look at, if people don't hear your message, what's going to happen? They're going to go on drugs to try to make themselves feel better. They're going to go on drugs to try to do simple things like sleep. They're going to be moving in directions that's going to make them and their families less healthy, not more healthy. And quite frankly, it could challenge their very life and existence. So when you look at that marketplace, what are you saying if your premise is, I need more new patients, as compared to saying, new patients need me? It's completely different in its energy, its vibration, and its shift. So if you run this and you map that process, I don't need new patients need me. Okay, there's that foundational branch one belief system. That's a conclusion you draw there. It's a metaphysical view. Epistemologically, branch two, right? Why do I think that? Because I'm looking at my community right now, and I'm seeing all kinds of people who are sick, getting sick, taking more and more medications. My God, I see children on 2 and 3 and 4 different medications. I see old people taking statins, and statins are definitely something that that the literature shows do not provide a benefit but can detract from their health. You can go on and on and on and on and on. You know the data, you've been seeing it, you've been coming to the webinars, you've been going to the seminars, you hear it all. But you can hear all that data and at the same time feel like you need new patients, and there's a disconnect, there's a contradiction there. Remedy the contradiction. I don't need new patients need me. That's my branch one philosophy premise. Why do I think it? Because of all the things that I just said. They really, really, really do need me. They need you. So now we go to the third part of the process. So now with that understanding and the clarity around that understanding, what am I going to do? I am going to go out there and I am going to market my message to my community so I can change it. And with that fuel harnessed from your belief systems, everything you do is going to work 10x better. It's going to bring you the results that you weren't getting before. It's not that the procedures are wrong. You were wrong. Your philosophy was contradicting what the procedure is supposed to be doing. And when you have that kind of abundance surrounding you, and there's exercises to take you through regarding this in the philosophy formula, where you start to now try the stuff on and you get a sense of how to move forward with it, you start to realize, my goodness, with that shift in my context, that shift in my understanding, the different filters through which I'm seeing and experiencing things, suddenly all the results start to blossom. You find the contradictions. You get rid of procedures that are contradicting your basic belief system, and you start adding the things that support it. And you see from the roots of your philosophy, you grow the fruits of success and transcend the challenges that you've been struggling with for the time that you've been struggling with it. Why am I so passionate about this? Even sometimes it might seem like anger, it's just passion. Why am I so passionate about this? Because I see what's going on in the world and I know the role that chiropractic can play, and I don't want to see chiropractors struggling when new patients need them. So by rewiring your philosophy, by laying out the philosophy map that takes your consciousness from point A to point B, by applying the philosophy formula, it makes everything you do work better. And it has you eliminate the things that you shouldn't be doing. You don't need new patients. New patients need you. Now, we can go through ways to apply that to your reactivations, to apply that to your referrals, to apply that to your corporate talks that you're going to give, to apply that to your healthcare class, and we can run down a long list, and we will. It's not the purview of this particular video. I just need to get the basic content down here. But when we get deep into the philosophy formula, that's exactly what I do. Walk it through everything so that your philosophy is solid. You can apply it to all the different aspects of what you're already doing in your practice and make them work better for you. Okay, I think you've got this now. Let's get to the interactive segment of this video.
Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I'm really excited to get on to this next topic. We alluded to at the end of the last video that we've been talking about new patients and philosophy. So, Patrick, you said that the number one need that you hear from chiropractors is new patients. So why is that the number one need, do you think?
Well, if you've got a practice and you're looking to build volume, the first thing it needs is new customers, right, for any kind of a business. So in a practice, it'd be new patients. I happen to believe that that over a period of time, a practice that's got any maturity to it, that should not be the number one need anymore, but such isn't the case, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think a lot of it's just because there's incongruency with how the practice is bringing its brand message to market, the way that it markets, the way that it conducts its internal operational procedures, especially relative to patient education and communication, the way that it builds its culture. Whenever there's confusion, there's an old adage, confused minds don't buy. When you have a brand, which is called your practice, and there's confusion within the practice at all, then people don't attach to it, and then they start falling out. So when they fall out, what happens? You got to replace them with somebody new. That shouldn't be happening, but that's not necessarily the purview of this particular conversation. So why, aside from that, why are new patients the number one need for the vast majority of practices out there? I believe because chiropractors have certain belief elements. As I described, there are these first dominoes that fall. Every belief element that you have is a domino that falls, and from that domino, all these other dominoes fall. And most times what we're looking at in our life are the end result of all the dominoes that just fell, and we're not tracing it all the way back to that single one that started the whole thing. So we have certain, within the profession and within the culture, we have certain belief elements that I believe keep us on a treadmill of needing new patients every month. You're running after them every single month, hoping to get enough in, huffing and puffing, and then next month get your new batch of new patients, etc. And I believe that when you apply the philosophy formula and you start to get your belief elements in order, that the outcomes that it leads to takes you away from this ongoing heated dependency on new patients. I mean, when you harness the power of your belief systems, it has an impact that's sometimes startling. I mean, sometimes it's just like, wow, I would never have believed that it had this much influence, in this case, let's say, on new patients. But it does, and it's something that I have 100% certainty around because I've been observing it for so many years within this profession, working with thousands of chiropractors.
Right. So, okay. So what do you feel is the number one need then for most chiropractors?
Well, the number one need, in my mind, is philosophical congruency and a conscious awareness of your philosophy, and because that's at the foundation of everything. Most people look at their needs in terms of a particular process or a procedure. I need to improve my new patient procedure. I need to improve my marketing procedures. I need to improve my my reactivations. I need to improve, and plug in you finish the sentence, whatever the procedure is. What they don't realize is that underneath all those procedures, way down here at the roots, and I'm talking at the very root here, is your philosophy. And to try to do procedures without having the philosophical roots in place, it translates into a lack of fruit when it comes to the procedure. So if I could be kind of coy with roots and fruit, it's the roots that are going to determine how much fruit you're going to get. So the number one need of this profession, and quite frankly of most human beings, is to get philosophical clarity, philosophical certainty, and philosophical applicability into their life. And that's why I felt it was very, very urgently important to create a formula for this that is easy to implement so that people can say, okay, I can grab hold of this and I can make it work, and it can have an immediate and profound impact. So yes, new patients in a way, as far as in a kind of an effect way, is definitely a need for the majority of chiropractors, and probably the number one need for most chiropractic offices. But if you were to ask me what I think from a cause way, what the number one most important thing chiropractors need, I'm going to say they need to formulate their philosophy.
Okay, so when we look at it too, I mean, there's potentially so many things to start to look at when we think about, okay, so underlying there being our clear and I guess our clarified philosophy. But when we start to look at it, I mean, it sometimes seems so daunting and seems so overwhelming. And so once we get started, like, what do you think one of the more common mistakes, or one of the kind of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start to unravel all of this?
Well, I'm glad you're bringing this up, because you probably can hear it as I'm saying it routinely. This is not as hard as you think. It's actually, I've simplified it quite a bit. You can make it hard. For me, it was a couple of decades maybe of trying to get it figured out. But after a period of time, you start to see how simple it is. It's almost like chiropractic. It can seem overwhelming and complicated to the uninitiated, but you can really boil it down to its essences pretty quickly once you've mastered it, and then you can communicate it in such a way so other people can get that jump start on it. In a sense, yes, this whole thing needs to be simplified into a formula and a process that's kind of step by step that can walk you through, and that's what I've done. And that's what I've been teaching for many years, and that's what the philosophy formula is all about. So with that, then what starts to happen as these things unravel, you ask, where can it take you? It could be a wild ride. Sometimes it's epiphany, like, oh my God, I just realized something that has been inhibiting me, that has been undermining and sabotaging my practice, that has caused a rift between me and my patients, or me and my staff, or me and myself, and I just found it. And now that I recognize it, and I can process and remove it and install a different belief element that I can execute on, suddenly everything changes, and it changes almost instantaneously. I have seen, where there's been enormous internal conflict in chiropractic practices because of incongruencies in the practice. And one little belief element gets identified and shifted, and next thing you know, you got people who are really acting in alignment and driving the force of the practice in a very positive direction. So sometimes there's those major epiphanies like that, and I think all of us, if we get into the formulaic process and go through it, I think all of us will have some of those. But really, when you start to aggregate the sum total of it all, you start to see how literally there's these little things, these little tweaks. It's not that something's so dramatically off, but a few 3 or 4 or 5 minor tweaks are being made as you start to inculcate the process. And then you start to see that it aggregates into like this new power base in these strong roots that are built, and then everything you do works better. And I think this is especially true when it comes to your approach towards new patients.
That brings up a really interesting thought that a mentor of mine had said not too long ago. He said that marketing is an act of kindness. And so, I mean, totally just hearing that just reframed everything when we looked at even talking to my CA about why we need, or why we're looking to to have outreach, to do these things. And so that's really what it is, right? So it's just changing the mindset, not necessarily changing all of our thinking, all of our actions. I think that sometimes maybe a trap for people, that they think that, oh my gosh, I have everything about what I'm doing, but it's really not that, is it?
Well, I like the context. Marketing is an act of kindness. You're exactly right in the sense that that's what I'm saying. You're marketing for their sake, not yours. Yes, you will benefit. Of course you will benefit. But the cause is that they need help. The effect is that by adding value to their life, you're compensated. So I really like that orientation, and it's right. That headspace shift, that philosophical foundation, that once it does shift, it changes everything for your whole career.
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up, one of the things I love about when we listen to On Purpose, when you do your Chiropractor of the Month interview, one of the last questions you always ask them is, okay, so you've got all these chiropractors on the line here and listening, what are your parting thoughts? So now I get to do that with you. So Patrick, so you've got all these chiropractors watching here. So what are your parting thoughts?
My parting thoughts are this, and I didn't know you were going to ask me this question, so this is not a prepared answer, just to be 100% transparent and authentic here. And I appreciate you listening to On Purpose. We've been putting that out for a lot of years. We're working hard in this profession for a lot of years. My parting thoughts are this. I've been in this profession for a lot of years, and quite frankly, I feel like I'm just getting started. There's a lot of work to be done. I've taken it very seriously. I've operated on the highest levels of leadership in this profession in varying realms. I've traveled the whole world speaking to chiropractors. And I have this enormous, in-depth, deeply, how can I put it, convicted sense of service to this profession. And with that, the whole concept that I finally have boiled it down to of saying that philosophy needs to be the central conversation in this profession and needs to be the central theme for every single chiropractor who seeks success and fulfillment through chiropractic. So, the hours I put in over the years to learn about philosophy and then the further hours I put in to create this philosophy formula are founded in something that I have an enormous amount of my spirit and purpose attached to. So I will stop at nothing to help chiropractors succeed. I have broken through brick walls, dove through pane glass windows, metaphorically speaking, of course, to help this profession, and will continue to do so because I recognize with full cognizant visibility that this profession can be destined for greatness, but can only be if the people who are members of the profession can get in alignment with values and principles that bring them to success in a spiritual and economic way. This profession cannot reach the mountaintop broke. We have to become economically viable in substantial ways for our own sakes individually and for the sake of the profession collectively. So to me, the philosophy formula will go viral throughout this profession. People will start to adopt it, they will embrace it, they will apply it, they will see the impact and success, and then they're going to bring their friends and colleagues because there's no limitation. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle, and nothing is even, those words can't be truer than when you start to share a thing called philosophy. So I am extremely ambitious. My spirit is high and strong. My projects for this profession are leveraged based on my experience from the past, and I can't wait to see a better profession in the future as I live within it.
Great. Well, I appreciate the time that you spent with me and answering all these awesome questions, and I really look forward to the philosophy formula.
I really hope you enjoyed video 3, and that if you watched the full 3-part free video training I did on the philosophy formula, that it had a massive impact on you. I was really heartened by the comments that people made on the page where we were showing these videos. So thank you, the people who took the time to share their ideas, share their sentiments, share their victories. It means a lot and it helps build the community that I want to build. I'm committed to making philosophy the central conversation in chiropractic, and it needs to be for reasons I think you now better understand. So if the free content was something that was meaningful to you, I now want to talk to you about a new course, which is a 12-week comprehensive course on the philosophy formula. There's an urgent problem facing our profession where we are underperforming. And why are we underperforming? Because there's a lack of having a reference point, a lack of having values that are clear, that are thought through, that are consistent and are congruent. Contradictions lead to destruction. The amount of destruction is relative to the level of contradiction. And when you have these contradictions, it impacts your confidence, your certainty, and your credibility. So I've got 20 years of experience developing this material, and I've now distilled it down into a simple formula that over a 12-week period can absolutely transform your life, and I'm very passionate about doing so. I don't like to self-aggrandize, but I want you to know that I know what I'm talking about. Doing a calculation with the thousands of clients that we've had that are chiropractors throughout the entire world, we have calculated that our efforts have added about $2 billion in additional revenue to the offices of our clients because they got congruent on their philosophy. They had a reference point. They started to map their philosophy, and then they started to organize it and point it in a direction. And as they did that, it transformed their experience, helped them help more people, helped them increase the impact of the adjustments they were giving, helped them better market, helped them better organize their finances and their care plans and all the things that you do. But it all starts with philosophy, not a procedure that's up here, but a philosophy that's the roots, and then the fruit comes better when you have better roots below. So the 12-week course is very comprehensive. I want you to understand something else also. There's a limit to the amount of people we can take in the course. Now you're going to look, and if you're cynical, and quite frankly, if you're somebody who's looking right now with a cynical attitude, you don't need to waste your time or my time. I don't really have the patience for cynicism. I'm here to help. And if you're somebody that is looking for an expansion of their life and feel that you're a committed searcher that's going to find the right things to help get you there, then this is something you should be listening to. If you're a type of person that sits back, folds your arms and says, oh, what's Gentempo selling now, etc., and you're going to be cynical, nothing I can do to help you. So no need to waste your time. So if you're engaged and you're interested, listen to what I have to say. It may not be for you. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But if it is for you, it can absolutely transform your life. And if you're sitting back right now wondering, is this something affordable to me or not? What I can tell you is that it costs less than what a new patient is worth to you. Just one. Very easy, very affordable. So don't get all resistant on that either. So let's talk about what is in the course. So let me cover the 12 weeks just really briefly. You'll see on the registration page, there's deeper explanations of all this. And I really encourage you to go there and read those descriptions to get a better depth of understanding. But let me overview it with you here first. I'm going to walk over to the whiteboard here and kind of walk you through it. So starting up, week 1 is setting up for success. And I call this doing it Gentempo style. Why do I say that? Because I have spent many years of my life, again, not to self-aggrandize, but let me just give you a sample of what I had to do. I am not naturally an organized person. It's something I have to do based on discipline. Secondly, if you'd ask, how did I run 2 multi-million-dollar companies, travel 150,000 miles a year, keep great relationships within my family as far as a legendary romance with my wife, good parenting to my kids, keep myself fit and in shape, etc. There's a lot of demands in our lives. I get it as much as you get it. So how was I able to do that? I had to figure out a system of organizing my life so that I can make all that work. So week 1 is about setting you up for success. It's not about getting into the core content. It's about teaching you the systems that I had refined over a period of 20 years that allowed me to leverage myself up and get a lot more done in the same 24 hours a day that everybody else on this planet has. That's what week 1 is. And quite frankly, if you learn that, that's going to be worth more than the whole price of the course because it will impact your career in a huge way for the rest of your life and improve the quality of your life. In week 2, we're going to clean the slate. Here's what I don't want. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to drag you for 12 months along with all the stuff that is weighing you down. We need to let go of that stuff. In other words, the concept here is letting go to rise. So I'm going to take you through my clean slate process, which helps to give you a clean board to work from so you're not dragging stuff forward into these next 12 weeks so you're ready to really transcend and transform your life. So that's what week 2 is going to be about. Now in week 3, we get to clarify your chiropractic philosophy once and for all. You have to have that nailed, clarified, where you are not wavering on it, where it's rational to you, where it makes sense to you, where you can communicate it, etc. And many people have 50, 60, 70, even 80% of the pieces of that philosophy put together, but there's those few pieces that they haven't filled in, that they haven't thought about, that leaves them still in a weakened state when it comes to their philosophy. So week 3, we're diving in and we're going to solidify that chiropractic philosophy. Week 4, purpose-driven. I mean, everybody talks about and prattles about being purpose-driven. Yeah, I'm the guy who's been teaching purpose for a long time, but there's no such thing as having a purpose unless there's a foundational philosophy under it. Purpose emerges out of your philosophy. So we're going to talk about the relationship between philosophy and then your emerging purpose, because when you get crystal clear on your purpose, that's when everything changes. I read in Think and Grow Rich, and I thought this line was just something that stuck with me, and I might be paraphrasing a little, but but the line said, "The world makes room for the person who knows where they're going and why," and that is what being purpose-driven is all about. But you have to have the philosophy supporting it. Next, I put get rich now. Sounds kind of like trite, right? Oh, this is not a get rich quick scheme. That's not what this is. This is going to require some effort on your part. But what I want you to understand is the relationship between philosophy and money, which you've already learned hopefully to some degree. But beyond that, we got to dig all the way into it and talk about why and how you should get paid. Right? This is all a foundation of your philosophical views toward money, towards humanity. Is there an irreconcilable difference in your mind between a humanitarian service and making a profit, etc.? So we're going to dig into that. More explanation on the registration page if you want to see deeper into it. Week 6 now. We want to triple your new patients. This is about applying the philosophy formula to the context of new patients. Because what do I hear? I need more new patients. I need more new patients. No, new patients need you. You have to shift your context, get your compass setting right with your philosophy, move in that direction, and without changing a single procedure, you'll see more new patients come. And my intention for you, and the rest is up to you, but my intention for you, and what I know can happen, is that you can triple your new patients if you organize yourself properly around this. That would be my goal, and I think it's a worthy goal for you to set for yourself also. Now, we're going to move over here, week 7. Double your retention. That's, you won't need new patients very much if your retention is increasing. So now we want to look at how the philosophy formula can be applied towards your practices when it comes to retention, which is extraordinarily important. That's a really important module. I think you'll see some extraordinary results when you start to use the philosophy formula towards that particular dimension of your practice. Week 8, man, this one is so important. Double the impact of your adjustments. What do I mean by that? Why do you think adjustments vary in their impact? Why is it if this person and this person does the same mechanical force in the same way with the same line of correction on the same person, shouldn't the results be the same? But what do you notice? You give the same adjustments to different people and they get different results. Why is there a variable impact of the adjustment? And if I understood what those variables were, is it possible that I can increase how much effectiveness each and every adjustment I give will have? And the answer is yes. We're going to study the variable impact of the adjustment. We're going to understand through the philosophy formula all of these variables and how you can manage these variables to deliver on the goods. Because in the end, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not delivering on the goods, none of this other stuff matters. Forget it. You've got to deliver on the goods. And I can tell you right now, there's a way to improve the impact of your adjustments. And week 8 by itself, again, is one of those things I'd say it's worth more than the entire course, because when you increase the proficiency and the impact of your adjustments so that it has a bigger effect on the individual people that you're taking care of who are paying you their money to get a result, you're going to find that that is a game changer for the future of your career. And really, what's the ultimate thing that I see? Every time that I teach that to a chiropractor, there are people getting more help as a result. They're getting better results as a result, and that makes me feel good. Week 9, it's all about getting paid. So this is, as compared to the philosophy of money that we're doing earlier, we set up that foundation. Now we're going to talk about your care plans. Now we're going to talk about, what is my philosophy? We run you through the philosophy formula because your care plans have to be congruent with your foundational philosophy, your chiropractic philosophy, all those things in the earlier weeks. Your care plans now have to be that. So we're going to spend some time talking about that. It's not one size fits all. It's not the one right way for everybody to do it. This isn't about my philosophy. This isn't about how I would do things. This is about you organizing yours. And that's why I'm going to lead you through that particular week. Week 10, no more self-help junkie. Here's what I get in this profession. I go to a seminar, I'm spizzed up, and then I'm down again. I get spizzed up, and then I'm down again. And it's this roller coaster ride of emotions. The problem here is that people have the wrong philosophy mapping when it comes to their emotions. When they have contradictions in their foundational premises, it creates mixed emotions. When you try to get jacked up at seminars without having a foundational philosophy that supports your emotional states, because emotions are secondaries, philosophy is primary. When you don't have that, you become what I call the self-help junkie. You get spizzed up and then you're down. You get spizzed up and then you're down. And you're on this roller coaster ride. We're going to level that thing out so you have a foundation under you so you don't go through those peaks and valleys and all you do is keep rising. Week 11, contradictions, the searing pain of contradictions. I said it before, when you have contradictions in your basic philosophical premises, the only possible result is destruction, and the amount of destruction is relative to the level of the contradiction. We're going to now go through the 5 areas of your life, and we're going to talk about where you might find contradictions there and remove those contradictions. Basically, we're going to take everything else that we built through those first 10 weeks, and in week 11, now we're going to start applying them rigidly in different parts of your life, and you're going to watch yourself rise as a consequence. I love that particular week. I've done workshops on that before. I see what the impact is. And then what's week 12? The zenith. What's the zenith? We're going to let it all hang out. This is going to be a live 3-hour Google Hangout where we're going to have a culminating event. You don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to buy hotel rooms. You don't do any of that stuff. But you and your staff and your family, if you'd like to invite them, will be present for a live Google Hangout. I'm going to have an all-star studded celebrity cast that's going to come give a series of presentations, and it's going to feel like a graduation experience that you've gone through all this. It culminates there on week 12, and it seals the whole thing up right. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a celebration, but it's also going to matter. Now, 2 huge bonuses that you should know about. Number 1, bonus offer number 1, I mentioned office hours. I don't coach. Nobody pays to get me on a phone and have me coach through them. It'd be way, way too expensive. It'd be way too under-leveraged on my time. It's just something that I've never done. I've never sold my time by the hour. So we're going to have office hours, what I call open office hours, 3 times a week, where you can access me directly, interact with me personally, and let me help guide you through this process. I'll answer any questions you want. I'll be there receptive and ready for you. There's no out-of-bounds questions. And I know, based on my experience and work with chiropractors over the years, how much impact I can have in just one interaction and having that conversation. That will be available to you multiple times a week for the entire 12 weeks. Huge value on that. There's more on it on the registration page. Take a look there. Bonus number 2, health philosophy for consumers. Okay. Do you get this? Because people either don't have a health philosophy or because they get their health philosophy from watching TV commercials and what have you, their lives are at risk. There's people every day dying in an orgy of drugs, unnecessary procedures, and other such things that shouldn't be happening. And then when the feces hits the fan and something goes wrong and they're trying to figure out, what do I do, and you get into this escalated panic state and they have no reference point called a health philosophy to be able to think from, the consequence of that is many times they die. It's that serious. So in the first quarter, and you're the first to hear about this if you're watching this, I have not announced this yet, but in the first quarter of 2015, I am launching a Build Your Health Philosophy website for consumers. It's going to be a simple multi-step process where they literally can start at point A, take them to point B, and at that point, they've got their health philosophy organized. And of course, it's going to be vitalistic. Of course, it's going to be inside-out philosophy. Of course, they're going to understand that people don't get sick because there's a lack of drugs in their blood. They'll put all that together, and it's going to make them great patients for you. And I'm going to be charging a monthly fee for this for chiropractors to let their patients access this site. I'm going to give you 1 free year of access. So for a full year, you can send all the patients you want to the site, let them build their health philosophy, and they're going to come back to you, and they're going to be actually inspiring you in your practice because of what they're going to understand through this simple process. So that's the second bonus I'm putting in. So that's the basic overview, as you can see it right now. On the registration page, you can find more detailed information. You can get the exact pricing, the payment options, all those things. As I said earlier, it's really simple. What one new patient is worth to you, this course costs less than that. What it will deliver to you is a transformational future. And I'll also just mention, this is on the registration page, that there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Obviously, here's one of my rules for decision making. This would be very helpful to you if you never do the course. Never make a decision based on fear or anger. Decisions based on fear or anger never lead to a good place. So you want to make a decision based on inspiration, based on your purpose, based on where you want to go in your life. However, I realize you're probably wondering, is this right for me or not? My answer is probably, but I'm not 100% sure either. I don't know you. So you could register, get involved, 30 days in the process, you're going to know if you're grooving with this thing or not. And if not, you can come out of the process, let us know, 100% no hassle refund, no harm done. You move on to whatever your next option is. So it's really just that easy. So go to the registration page, read everything that there is to read there, fill out the form, click submit, do it with some passion, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the other side.